We're a long way away now from the referendum result, and yet there are huge areas where we just don't know what the future is going to hold. And that's impossible. That's impossible for economic operators like farmers. It's a frightening level of uncertainty, and that's got to be put an end to as soon as possible.
The UK's departure from the EU is probably going to be one of the biggest things that affects agriculture, food production and rural communities for decades, for generations really. So the importance of bringing people together, discussing these issues so that there can be a wider learning again is valuable and essential, I would say.
For the last 40 years, policy in relation to agriculture has been decided at the European level of the European Union. So for the first time in about 40 years, governments not just here in Westminster but in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have some important decisions to make about the future of farming policy. On the one hand, the opportunities are not only to redesign a farming policy that is not only fit for the UK but fit for the different parts of the UK, but also an opportunity to re-engineer our whole landscape to drive productivity growth in a much more meaningful way than we've been able to do in the European Union. The key risks, though, are the fact that our industry is utterly dominated by EU and intra-community trade. Something like 95% of our sheep meat exports go to the rest of the European Union, and therefore there's a very, very heavy exposure to any disruption in trade with the rest of the European Union.
We would export around, well, close to 40% of our UK production of sheep meat, and 96%, so virtually all of that exported volume goes into the EU. So if we end up with losing that free access into that market, if we end up having to pay tariffs on sheep meat going into the EU, it's going to have a massive effect on that trade. We still don't know what our future trade agreements are going to be with the EU, and we still don't know what the detailed structure of a future farm support programme will be. And those, probably for our members, sheep farmers, those are the two most fundamental things that lead to profitability or viability of their businesses. The
current system of support, which largely depends on direct payments to farmers, is going to end. What's going to replace it? Well, Michael Gove talks a lot about paying farmers for their environmental performance, environmental goods, and that's fine. But our concern is that that's the only thing he's talking about, and we can see there should be other pillars to that policy. And we're particularly keen that something should be done to improve the productivity of British farmers. It's a big problem. Our productivity is levelling off, it's plateauing, we're not seeing the increases we should. We need investment to improve that. And some of the money that's saved from direct payments, in our view, should certainly be going to that.
The government's promised the bill, we should have already had it by now, but there's no sign of it appearing at the present time. What should be in it? There's a lot of detail, but one thing that should be in it, agriculture and food production is a devolved issue in the United Kingdom. And really, they owe it to the governments of Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland to ensure that they are fully in control of what comes back from Brussels, because it's not in the withdrawal bill. They also probably got to put the financial subsidy arrangement in, because farmers need support. Not all of them, the grain barons don't, but certainly the hill farmers in the less favoured areas need to have a guaranteed financial support. That's got to be in the bill for a start. Otherwise we'll end up with wilderness and decimated industry.
Ireland and the UK are an echo chamber. Brexit, Brexit, Brexit is everywhere, in front of our national media, in front of every paper. Even if I picked up the paper, the Telegraph, the Sun today, there'll be a Brexit story. From an EU perspective, Brexit decision has been done, they regret it, but they want it just finished, and there's no real debate. The rest of the EU's moving on, and I think one of my big points was to maybe accentuate that there today, in terms of, guys, you're being left behind and people are moving on, so please kind of get a rationale, because there is no plan from the UK of what they're going to do with Brexit yet.